Welcome to Stories from the River. I'm your host today, Tyler Trill. This is episode 353. We are sitting down with Senior Manager of Project Management, Mark Deulley. Welcome to Stories from the River, a show in which we go behind the scenes at Broad River Retail. Mark, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you.
Returning guest. I think this is like your third time on, right?
Yeah, third time.
First time in our new studio. What do you think of the new digs here?
Oh, this is definitely next level.
Yeah.
Like feels like we're at home, just sitting here kind of talking. You know?
Great. I like it. Well, welcome in. Exciting day for you today. Just learned you're a new senior manager, right?
I am.
Congrats on the promotion. Excited
for that. Very, very grateful for everything. Stacy, McCormick, Will, Luke, for everything they've done to help support me in it, and excited to take this to the next level. Ready to manage the heck out of some projects here.
Well, you're rewarded with coming on the podcast for your promotion. We're talking about your awards that you won at our recent gala earlier in the year. You took home two Bridge Builder Awards, one for retail, one for CX. How did that feel? You're the only person walking out of there that night with two awards.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised at it. I'm walking up to the stage, and they're like, "Well, go ahead and just take your time because you're actually going to win 2 awards." They started going through it, and felt very, very humbled at that point because spent a lot of time in several different departments this year, helping out all over the place. And so it was like, okay, what's going to happen? How's this going to play out? Whatever, things like that. So. Came up there, and then the other thing too is I'm not sure. I don't think we've ever done a Bridge Builder Award here at Broad River before, at least since I've been here. And so that was kind of cool to have it be like the pioneer version of that coming out and see it stopping out. It was exciting, very excited.
2024, you're the retail MVP.
Yep.
How are you going to top it? MVP, 2 awards. What's next?
At this point, it's just doing what I can every single day, and whatever happens in between there, I'm just grateful to be there. What I love most when those moments is like you go to the gala, you see all these people, and people actually getting recognized for the things they're doing, and I think that's the best part, just the celebration.
What about working at Broad River Retail do you think you connect with the most? What's your favorite part about being here?
I'd say St. Jude is probably my biggest one. Had some stuff in the past couple of years come up and really made me take inventory of a lot of things. And one of the things I really liked about working here and staying here and building a career here is how much we give back, how much we care about not just, taking care of our people and what we do here, but also that and beyond in the community. We have that, we have Hope to Dream. And so I think that's like a big thing for me is being able to give back to the community through a part of, you can manage projects anywhere. You could go do data anywhere. Being able to do it where you know that you're making a difference is huge.
Absolutely. So you were the manager of retail data strategies and platforms. Yeah. You're now the senior manager of project management. Tell me about your role. What is the day-to-day? Probably the day-to-day is different. I guess what's the week-to-week like for your role here?
I have to laugh at it because when I got that title, I went back, I'm like, what do you do when you're good at something but there's no technical role for what it is you do, like how do you fit into, you don't necessarily fit a mold for anything. So they just start tacking words on, that's how it works. But, the biggest difference right now is I'm taking a big step away from like just doing data and report building and that kind of thing, and looking more analytics and project management, really, really trying to solidify that intake process. When do projects start? When do they end? How do we move from ideation to production as quickly as possible while still getting it right? And so that's the majority of what I'm doing right now in this role is like kind of hammering that process out and getting that solidified. That way, as we're going through this, one of the worst parts about whether it's a little project or a big project or report, whatever it is that you set an expectation. You think, okay, I'm going to start this project and it's going to take 2 weeks. And then you actually start talking to the other stakeholders. Well, wait a second. No, this is going to be an 8-week or this is going to be a 10-week. Setting those expectations up front and knowing where it's at. Or likewise, the other one, I think it's going to take 3 months. Actually, we're going to get done in a month. All of that. That's really where I enjoy the most. And that's where I spend most of my time right now is just partnering with the senior leaders, senior executives, and helping them achieve their vision.
Well, congrats on the promotion once again.
Yeah.
Way easier title to say. Remember, when I looked at that this morning, I was like, oh, man, It's a lot
Yeah.
of words for me to take in there. So, how'd you find this sweet spot in this new role that you've had? Because you've had roles all over Broad River Retail, right?
I did. So for me, I came from
Yeah.
retail management. I knew it was coming over there. But then a unique opportunity came up to stand up the E-team, which took a little bit of more of an entrepreneurial mind, which is part of my background. I've owned my own business before. And so I was like, okay, you know what? Let me step into this and help stand this up. And then very unique opportunity came up to join the BI team.
Yeah.
And it was a strategic step, it was a step backward from a manager to an individual contributor. But the way I saw it was, it is going to give me exposure to the entire company. I'm going to see everything, not just retail ringing the cash register, but also, I worked with marketing, worked with CX, customer service, and worked with the people allies. Like, I got exposure to the entire business going through that. And so that was the vision that I had. And so worked on that for a while, started seeing a really, really high aptitude for project management. Partnered with Will, got that title, and tried to understand, okay, how does project management, how does this all work together? And I think we forged a really good vision of what this is going to look like going into the next year.
So one of the former times you're on the podcast was for the Founder Scholarship in
Mm-hmm.
2024, I believe. Went back and watched that episode prepping for this. Did you know you're one of the most watched episodes on our entire channel? Like 10,000 views on that episode?
I mean,
We got Mark Deulley fans all over the world.
I shouted out a Rocky Balboa quote. How can you not? I mean, that's gonna drive your likes up just based on that. It's
Did the Founder Scholarship process and going to secondary school, has that set you up for this new role as well?
Oh, absolutely. Most of what I've seen with going through the master's program
Mm-hmm.
through UNC and everything is, it's almost like, can you do it? Can you stay focused? Can you push through? There's some classes, it's what you love, you're walking through it, it's a cakewalk, that. There's other ones like, it's a grind. Every single day, you have to get yourself, can I force myself to do the things I don't necessarily want to do to get me to go be successful? And that's what the master's program was. And so going through those classes, and pushing while still working here and doing all that. And Broad River was great as I was going through it and doing everything. So yeah, I think it has set me up for success. I think I would encourage anybody out there that's listening to this is, look into the Founder Scholarship through us here. It really will propel your career forward. Take time to invest in education. It does pay off.
So going back to your awards that you won, the Bridge Builder Awards for CX and retail, let's talk a little bit about some of the projects that you worked on in 2025 to win those awards. Let's start with CX. What was some of the work that you did with CX to, build those bridges?
Yeah, so for CX, the biggest project that I worked on with them, we had a vendor that the data wasn't necessarily adding up. It wasn't making sense. We weren't sure if it wasn't or not. So we had to really go in and validate, double check, look to see what it was. That took a certain level of complexity and time that we couldn't find anyone that was really going to dig in to do that. And so at that time, I had discretionary effort that I could put in. And I said, hey, I'll take this project on. I'll take the different tables, I'll mirror them together, I'll match them, and we'll see what comes out of it. And a lot of humility as I'm walking through this, because again, also I'm not, high-end, data analyst person, data scientist, but I'm also just saying, hey, these aren't adding up, these aren't matching, help me understand. Work through it. End up working with our CX team. That CX team puts me in touch with the vendor. I'm working with the vendor. Then I'm working with the vendor's data scientist on the back end, like going through it all. And eventually, hey, we found out there was something off. We were able to find it. We were able to fix it. And so going forward, it was there. And not only that, but it also helped the vendor because it fixed it for other clients as well. So very grateful for that. And we were able to take all that data and put it into a report. And now that's being used across the whole enterprise now.
Yeah, so the other award that you won was Retail Bridge Builder, and we're going back to data in the kind of lead up to giving you the award. It was specified that the reason that you won the award was for creating data sets that helped retail win. What are some of those data sets that you're helping for our retail team get?
Well, the first one I'd say that's probably the most impactful. It's not last year, but it was a 3X, a sales tool that makes any individual that's maybe never done commission sales, never done sales. You can take different people that just have a focus on being able to communicate and make them expert people-focused solution finders. That whole thing. So it's an amazing tool. And so then from there, started working on different reports, and it really culminated with the Podium project We launched Podium as a prospecting tool to get people in and start working more information, but it ended up going to other departments.
Yeah.
It's gone to our sales audit team. It's gone to our retail ops team. It's gone to our IT team now has partnered with us, and kind of seeing the whole picture together and partnering with all these different departments as we're going through it has been huge. And it has to integrate with our existing system. So I worked again with customer service on that, and traveled to all of our different stores and set it all up. And it was a rather big project, but I really enjoyed it. It gave me a different perspective, being able to see a telephoning system from beginning to end all the way through. And it's been a pretty smooth integration and transition based on what the feedback I've heard on it is that, this is one of the smoothest ones we've had at Broad River. So
This new journey in your career now with data sets, project management, what are you finding that you like the most about it?
people, by far. I will tell you right now, at Broad River, we have the best people out of anywhere I've ever worked, bar none. And being able to work in this with those people, my whole thing in this is, look, you guys have the vision. You guys know what you want to see. We don't necessarily have the how all the time. That's where I come in a lot of times. Hey, I'm going to be your how guy. I'm going to help you solve it. We're going to work through this. And for the last couple of years, it's been sitting at a table with executives. For me, I'm either like a data analyst or I'm a manager of retail platforms, strategy, whatever that title is. Having these titles, but sitting with executives and being able to help them get their vision to bring it to life, and coming with that approach of how can I serve you? What can I do to help you? Instead of like, hey, how can you help me, or what can you do for me? So that's been like the number one thing that's helped serve in in that way.
Where'd you learn that mindset from?
I mean, transparently, kind of just taking my licks in the real world.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I started my first company, and I picked up a really big Grant Cardone mentality, which was like, you just got to 10x everything. You gotta protect the people that are around
10x.
you. Yeah, you just got to go after it. You got to go after you. Just leap, and the universe will respond. And I did. I severed a lot of friendships during that time, and but I had this mentality. I was doing like this righteous work that I was going on, and man, it became really hard. I became very isolated. And it was a very humbling experience going through that.
Yeah.
And so what I learned in that process, though, was like, hey, you do more by helping other people get what they want. And I go a little Zig Ziglar there, but, like help other people get what they want. And you're going to get what you want in there. And that's what's really changed. And my heart has changed to this like humility side of it. Because especially in sales, retail, and any of these commission-based selling, like it's very much like, hey, I gotta go get mine. I'm out every day. I have to go hunt. I have to go do this. But the mentality of like, wait a second, how can we do this together? How can we do this collaboratively? Is a huge shift that's happened for me. And ever since I came to Broad River, it's been, hey, where can I serve? Where can I give my discretionary effort?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you, that's what I've learned in the 5 years being here. This company values discretionary effort better than anything else I've ever been at. What I've learned, though, with discretionary effort is you have to look for your highest value impact. And what I mean by that is you need to find where your strongest strengths, where your best strengths intersect with the most company need. And that's where you want to put your discretionary effort. If you can find those spots where your greatest strengths intersect with the company's greatest need, you're going to get Bridge Builder awards. You're going to find impact. You're going to make impact. That's your biggest spot for impact.
What does it mean to you to be a bridge builder?
I think it's talking to people and saying, hey, what is it that you want and how can I help you do it? How can I serve you? And I think in some ways it's giving up the right to have an opinion. Mm-hmm. In projects that I've done before being at Broad River and things that I've worked on, I always came in and I felt like I had to have like the right answer sometimes. I had to like know, hey, this is what it's going to be. And did a lot of study with the table group, read a lot of books and just said, hey, what does it look like to not have to have the right answer every time? To come in and be able to put yourself in a place of vulnerability and say, hey, I'm sorry, I know you just explained it really well, but can you explain it again to me? I'm not getting it. That paired with the humility, a lot of times you get these experts, they come in, you get these consultants, they come in and they're like, hey, I have to know everything. And they look to you for the answer. But coming in with that humility and saying, hey, sometimes I just got to ask. You just said the vision very, very clear to me. And I really appreciate it. I'm still not getting it. Let's go back one step. Help me understand it. Instead of just being like, yeah, I get you. I know what you're saying. Yeah, absolutely.
That vulnerable, that humility side, how long did that take to cultivate? to teach yourself?
When I get there, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I feel like it's a lifetime process.
Sure.
And I really feel like it's part of the mentors that you have, what you're pouring into yourself. If you're pouring into yourself, the John Maxwell's, if you're pouring into yourself the content that you want to have that feeds that, the Brene Brown, I mean, there's all these people that have poured into me, not necessarily like you and I are sitting here, but, I do a lot of drive time university, listening to books, podcasts, things like that as I'm going. I just feel like it's a process. And I think one of the biggest things I've gotten since being here is, Charlie talks about win the day all the time. And that really resonated with me because what I started telling myself is I can't do it every day, but can I do it today? And like, I can't be the humble guy every day. I can't be the vulnerable guy every day, but can I do it today? And I'll let tomorrow worry about, let every other day figure it out. So that's probably my approach more than anything. I'll say, hey, can I do it today? Can I be that servant leader today? Can I help serve today? And then, let the scoreboard take care of itself afterward.
That's great advice. We were talking before we turned the cameras on, the difference between bridge building and problem solving. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So for me, bridge building has a very unique difference between problem solving. Problem solving is very task-based, solution-based. Bridge building has to include the people that you're going at with it. And if you're focused so much on the task that you forget the people, you end up going into something where you just start blaming people. You start looking at the people become the problem instead of leaving the problem as the problem. And in order to be a very effective bridge builder, you have to, must bring the people along with you. You can be an excellent problem solver without being a bridge builder.
One of the ways that you are building bridges throughout the company is through Monday.com, our project management platform. Take me on that journey. Obviously, I see you post about it on LinkedIn. You're kind of our go-to guy for Monday.com within the building. How did you learn Monday.com?
Well, when I started working with Will and came over to project management, we had just started working with Monday.com. It started to expand a little bit just beyond our marketing team, and said, okay, well, how are we going to use this? What can we do with it? We had some consultants we were talking to about it, and honestly, we weren't getting the answers as fast as I wanted them. And I had a little bit, whenever you do a transition, sometimes you have some free time at that point, discretionary effort again. Yeah. Said, you know what, I believe this is a software we're going to use as a company, so I'm going to go invest in it. I spent a couple weeks, just any free time I had, any downtime I had, I was taking modules. I ended up going through their classes, got certified through them, paid for all that, took care of it all. And that's what led to the conversation at that point was like, people had questions. They had an expert here certified through Monday.com. I think that's part of it. It's like skating to where the puck's going. I felt like that's where we're going. But going back to the humility thing, I had to be okay knowing that maybe we don't do Monday.com. Maybe I do all this stuff and maybe we end up doing a totally different software or whatever. So, but just staying in that spot of, hey, this is where we're going. Now we just expanded. We're going to be doing even more at Monday.com, which is exciting. And I really feel like being able, especially with our organization growing, being able to stay organized, keep communication flowing really well, to not have to have a meeting and sometimes be able to see updates just via software. I love that. It's a game changer. Yeah.
We've been using it in marketing and I've really enjoyed it. Just, it does help with communications and to cut out some silos in what's going on. So I think it's been a huge help to not only our team, but obviously throughout the entire company. Has Mark Deulley always been the guy who's just like, give me some time and I want to figure it out? Have you always had that mindset, or have you taught yourself or learned that over time?
I'll tell you this. I recently had a conversation with Stacy McCormick, and he gave me one of the best comments I've ever received in my life. He said, I'll say this about Mark Deulley. If he more often than not, he knows the answer, but if he doesn't know the answer, he's going to go figure out the answer. Yeah. He's going to go do it. And I never really counted that about myself. I always, even going back to the Rocky Balboa, like I've always seen myself as like the scrappy underdog that could go and overcome anything and do whatever. But what's probably changed a lot, especially through the MBA and things like that, is that there's a certain level of understanding that happens quicker and being able to relate to a lot of the world experience I already have. And background in finance and banking, background in owning my own business. Like anybody who's out there's ever been an entrepreneur knows, like when the buck stops with you, you have to figure it out. There's no one like, well, hey, this guy didn't do his job, so now I can't deliver the product. No, you figure it out. And so there's some of that attitude that's really come out for me that's stayed with me all throughout my whole process. And that's what I try to impart to my girls, my daughters. You know, solve your problem, figure it out. Find, even if you have a bad solution per se, go try it and see. And then if it doesn't work, that's where the team comes in and says, hey, this is as far as I got to go. How much further can you take it? And there's times where, I don't have to be the person that has the answers, because maybe I have the departments, maybe I have external vendors, maybe I have websites or things like that that I can go to and chat communities to be able to ask questions and grow from there. Then that's the biggest thing. We are at an age, especially with AI coming out now, we are at an age where information is as readily accessible as it's ever been before in human history. But you have to know how to get it and where to get it. And I liken it to, depending on how old we all are here, if you guys remember, if you go to the library before the computers, they had to have the card catalogs and the Dewey Decimal System. The information was there, but you had to understand how the system worked.
Yeah.
And that's what we're facing right now, is that with AI coming out right now, we're about to have more information we've ever had, but if we don't know how to use that card catalog, we don't know how to speak to it, we don't know how to interact with it, we're going to be left just looking at a whole building full of books that all this information we can't use. And so I think that's going to be the biggest difference here, moving forward, is what can we do to interact with the data, to get the information as clean and as pure as possible, so that way we can move as clean and as fast as possible.
Well, you're an incredible resource for us. You're an incredible member of the team, and I'm grateful that you're here at Broadriver Retail. We've talked a lot about what you do here. I want to learn a little bit more about Mark Deulley.
Yeah.
You drive here from Raleigh on occasions. That's about a 2.5, 3-hour drive, right?
It depends on 77, but we won't go there today.
Yeah. What do you like to do during those drive times?
So definitely listen to podcasts, Audible. I go back and re-listen to books. I'm a huge Robert Kiyosaki fan. Listen to a lot of his books, and I have listened to them on repeat over and over again.
Give us a book suggestion.
See, whenever you say for a book suggestion, you got to know, what are we talking about? So if you're talking about money, Robert Kiyosaki is one of the best. But you have to temper, because you have to put him on the same side then as Dave Ramsey, and you read them both, and then you find the truth is somewhere between. Anyway, right now, if I was going to say a book that I'm going back to, it is The 360-Degree Leader. That is one that I probably read at least once a year, just going back to with John Maxwell.
Yeah.
Because people want to say, hey, I'm not a leader. I don't have a title. I don't have this. I don't have, I'm not a leader in my organization, but leaders exist all throughout the organization. It's just they may not be in position yet. And so when I was younger and a startup entrepreneur, there's always people who are like, oh, you just got to work with us. You got to, we'll help you become this person. You think you're this big, but really you're actually only this big. And I said, no, you don't understand. I'm actually this big. My results haven't caught up to me yet. And so there might be people out there right now that are listening to this right now. And they're like, man, how do I go grab this? I don't have the title. I don't have what I want it to be. 360-Degree Leader by John Maxwell totally sets you up to where you want to be, because it teaches you how to be a leader to everyone around you.
Where'd you get your entrepreneurial spirit?
Take enough gut punches, and eventually, you realize you got to move out of the way. No, I've always kind of had this feeling of I want to build, I want to grow, I want to do something. And honestly, it's a little bit of impatience. It's the downside of the entrepreneurial spirit is the impatience to wait for others to catch up with you, and to be able to cast vision, to have them come alongside of you. And so there was just a time in my life where I was very, very impatient. I had just graduated college. I was like, look, I'm ready to go to this next thing. I was working in banking at the time. Finance wasn't there yet. And I was like, I'm going to go start my own finance company, and I'm going to do my own investing and my own insurance and all this. And not realizing the value of brands, big brands, the support of bigger things. I just said, fine, I'm going to leap. The universe is going to respond. And I liquidated my 401k, liquidated my IRA, did everything. And it didn't work out well. There were some lessons I had to learn about managing that I didn't have at that time that I had to learn, and I learned. And part of it was coming out of that and leading a team of 5 people. I knew how to lead. I knew how to inspire, I knew how to talk. When it came to actually holding them accountable and managing their results, I didn't have that. So I said, okay, well, I got to go restart. Went back to McDonald's, started working there, started working at Hamburger University, went through that, was working my way up to a GM position. And then Carl Hilsland was, actually why I'm down here is because Carl Hilsland was my boss up there. He worked at Ashley Furniture and said, hey, I know you got the people side.
Yeah.
Now you got the process side. Why don't you come and try to work your way up, Ashley? I said, sure. So, and obviously the rest is history here. So, yeah, a lot of stuff listening to. I also do a lot with Udemy or Udemy or however you say it, take courses on there. There's a lot of certifications that are out there that are relatively under $100 to get. Find ones that are in your field and, listen to those as you're going through. And then the third thing is just conversations with people.
Yeah.
Conversations with current people in my life, with former people, following up with them, family, sometimes that's the best time to be able to do it. You're driving, talk to people, see what's going on.
A lifelong learner. I like that a lot about you. Do you still want to open a coffee shop?
I think that's one that's going to be on hold for me. It's still there. It's one of those things that's like to be there. I love the idea. I think what your reference is the coffee shop with the entrepreneurs coming in.
Yes, from the last episode.
Yeah. I mean, so we're talking like post-retirement at that point, but that would be still a dream of mine. Own a coffee shop, have people come in, ask questions, and be able to talk through that. I think part of also working through Broad River and doing this is that my scope is expanding of who would come in and listen and who would talk. And that's, being open to that. Maybe it needs to be bigger than a coffee shop. Maybe it needs to be, I don't know. But no, I mean, we'll see. I think more than anything else that there are people that want to grow and develop. And sometimes they just need that Roger Bannister type person that went ahead and like did it and see it and know that it's possible, it can be done. Does that involve a coffee shop? Maybe.
What are your passions outside of work?
I do a lot with my daughters. We actually just came back. My daughter's on spring break right now. Took her up to DC and just went around. We went to the different Smithsonian museums. We went to the Holocaust Museum, which actually, like, this is my passion for what we talk about, is like teaching my daughters outside of what's in school.
Yeah.
She's about to learn World War II for the first time. And I'm like, no, we're going to go here. You're going to see it. You're going to like experience beyond what the school books just tell you. Not that there's anything wrong with what school teaches, but there's always levels to whatever you engage. So doing that, taking trips, we're big into doing that. And then, I mean, for the most part, if we're hanging around the house, we're just watching. I'm actually taking them through Boy Meets World right now.
Okay.
Because that's just an awesome show.
Topanga, baby.
Yeah, I mean.
My first crush. Probably a lot of people's first crush.
Well, a lot. There's that. And I think having her watch Sean's story in that and seeing like, hey, just because you had a certain life here doesn't mean everyone had it, and engaging in that, probably if I was a little bit older, I might be Saved by the Bell and I walk her through, but Boy Meets World is my generation, so that's what we're going through. And watching them, here we are, 30 years later, still engaged.
Yeah.
And watching,
Speaking of Sean, I was always envious of his hair. Great hair back in the day.
Sean or Eric, who had the better hair?
I'm going to give it to Sean.
Okay.
But I think Eric was probably my favorite character from that show.
Oh, yeah. Especially once he cut his hair, went spiky, and became the goofball guy. Like, he was just so lovable. But, no, I mean, there's certain things that you just grab on. Actually, believe it or not, a lot of my life lessons for being a dad come from Alan.
Awesome.
That show.
Okay,
like,
yeah.
Everyone has that like dad they want to be like. Like, if I could be like Alan, oh my gosh, that would be the best dad ever,
Last question for you. What's the best Rocky movie?
Are you counting the Creed movies in that? Or no?
No.
Okay. So, the first Rocky movie is the best. You can't say anything else with it.
Bar none, yeah.
Yes, you have to have that as the baseline, especially if you know the backstory, what it took to get it made and all that. We're going to go through all that right now. But that is by far the best one for it. Most known is probably Rocky IV with fighting the Russian and the speech, which, believe it or not, I just recently learned that speech was, I guess, improvised at the end. It was not in the script. If I can change, you can change. Everybody can change.
Okay.
So most publicly known, Rocky IV, but the actual best, I think that's the difference. He didn't want to win the first one. He just wanted to go the distance. He wasn't focused on the result. He was focused on the process, who he had to be there.
Yeah. And
fight through it. And even at the end, everyone, stay down. No, he got up. If you ever get a chance, David Goggins has an amazing video about Apollo Creed. It's got some language in it I can't say right now. But he talks about the end of that movie and watching Apollo Creed at the end of round 14. Whew, change your life.
Training montage. I go back and watch it on YouTube on occasions from Rocky IV. I think Rocky Balboa, Rocky VI. I don't think it's critically acclaimed, but I think it's an underrated movie. One one of 2 movies I've ever cried in theaters. So
Well, he's talking to his son?
no, when he's he's talking to Adrian, it's kind of early on in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
And they have flashbacks. It got me the first time I ever watched it in theaters, and I really do love that movie. So yeah, I grew up on Rocky, so when you're talking about the last show, I really enjoyed it. So all right, Mark. Well, thank you so much for making time for us. I enjoyed our conversation today. And thanks for tuning in or listening along here. You can find us on Apple, Spotify. Also, follow us on LinkedIn. We're growing there. So thanks for watching Stories from the River. We'll catch you next time. Thanks for listening to Stories from the River. To check out more episodes, visit storiesfromtheriver.com. To watch this episode, go to youtube.com/@storiesfromtheriver. Join us again next week, and remember to like, rate, and subscribe to the podcast.